You said LeBron James the greatest player ever?
Ever.
What about Michael and Kobe? So you just gonna pass Kobe up like that?
I'm gonna pass Kobe up. I'm gonna look at Michael.
Jordan is what in the finals? 6 and what?
Oh.
And what is LeBron in the finals? That's all I gotta say.
Shaq, how many?
Shaq has had enough. He's calling out LeBron and KD for constantly disrespecting Michael Jordan, and he's not pulling any punches. His brutal takedown is sending shockwaves through the basketball world and settling the GOAT debate once and for all. Is this the final word? Let's dive in.
When LeBron passes up Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in points, will that make him the greatest player ever? I think the greatest player is Michael Jordan. He's the only man that had me terrified on the court. All the you see on your poster, like he's doing it in real life. Like he came by me so fast one time, I was like, oh.
The NBA's GOAT debate never dies, but here's what makes it fascinating. It's not about stats, rings, or viral highlights. What matters most is when someone who actually battled these legends steps up and tells the truth. And when that someone is a four-time champion, a Hall of Famer, and one of the most unstoppable forces the game has ever seen, you better listen. Shaquille O'Neal isn't some analyst chasing clicks. This is a man who faced Michael Jordan 21 times in his career, including massive playoff battles that defined both their legacies. Shaq averaged 25.0 points and 14.1 rebounds against Jordan, going toe-to-toe with the man most consider the greatest ever. When Shaq speaks on this topic, he doesn't hold back. He doesn't sugarcoat anything, and he definitely doesn't care whose feelings get hurt. So what does Shaquille O'Neal actually think about the eternal debate between Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant? According to the Big Diesel himself, there's no debate at all. On a 2024 episode of the Big Podcast, Shaq made the most powerful argument for Jordan's GOAT status, and it has nothing to do with championships, scoring titles, or finals MVPs. Instead, Shaq pointed to something you can't measure on any stat sheet: fear. I've heard players say, including myself, I feared Mike. I've heard players in your generation say, I feared Kobe. I never really heard any players say they fear LeBron. Let that sink in. One of the most physically dominant athletes in sports history, 7'1", over 300 pounds in his prime, openly admits he was terrified of Michael Jordan. Not intimidated, not respectful, terrified. And when Shaq says that, it carries more weight than any statistical breakdown ever could.
January 16th, 1993, still your rookie year. You guys are in Chicago playing the Bulls. It's a big moment. These are the defending champs, back-to-back champs.
Puts it up, the counting foul. Mike, quick turnaround and
That rookie year matchup on January 16th, 1993 became a defining moment in Shaq's early career. Jordan exploded for 64 points and 5 steals that night, but Shaq's 29 points and 24 rebounds helped Orlando pull off a 128-124 overtime upset. It was a preview of what young Shaquille O'Neal could do, but it was also a masterclass in what made Michael Jordan so terrifyingly brilliant. What truly cemented Shaq's belief in Jordan's greatness came decades later in 2020 when The Last Dance premiered. On The Dan Patrick Show, Shaq made his position crystal clear. The documentary proved that Michael Jordan will always be the GOAT, emphasizing Jordan's perfect 6-0 finals record and his unmatched leadership. Here's where Shaq's argument gets impossible to ignore. Jordan's individual accolades blow past the combined totals of LeBron James and Kevin Durant in key categories. Jordan won 10 scoring titles. LeBron and Durant combined, 5. Jordan earned 9 all-defensive first-team selections. LeBron and Durant combined, 5, with Durant at 0. In a 2024 survey of current NBA players, 46% voted Jordan as the GOAT, with LeBron at 42%. Some see that gap closing and think the tide is turning. But here's the reality. The players who watched Jordan in his prime, who felt that fear firsthand, are aging out of the league. Younger guys never saw Jordan drop 63 on the Celtics in the playoffs. They never witnessed him shrug his shoulders after hitting 6 threes in the first half of a finals game. They only know the legend, not the lived experience. Shaq knows, Shaq remembers, and Shaq won't let anyone forget what made Michael Jordan different from every player before him and every player since.
Who'd you enjoy talking smack to?
Everybody. Everybody.
Was there anybody that you kind of avoided talking smack to because if you did,
Yeah.
your spirit got bigger and they wanted to beat you, or?
Michael Jordan. You don't want to mess with God.
Shaq has expressed frustration with how the GOAT debate often jumps straight from Michael Jordan to LeBron James, ignoring Kobe Bryant's rightful place in the conversation. But even when defending Kobe, Shaq always comes back to the same conclusion. Michael Jordan sits at the top, and everyone else is fighting for second place. If Shaq's praise of Jordan represents one side of the GOAT debate, then his criticism of Kevin Durant represents the other, in the most brutally honest way possible. When Shaquille O'Neal sets his sights on dismantling someone's case for greatness, he doesn't hold back, he doesn't sugarcoat, and he definitely doesn't care whose feelings get hurt. So, what does Shaquille O'Neal actually think about the eternal debate between Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant? According to the Big Diesel himself, there's no debate at all. On a 2024 episode of The Big Podcast, Shaq made the most powerful argument for Jordan's GOAT status, and it has nothing to do with championships, scoring titles, or finals MVPs. Instead, Shaq pointed to something you can't measure on any stat sheet: fear. Now, if you put the numbers next to the name, Shaq wasn't wrong in ranking Durant as the 4th all-time scorer. His 2 championships and 2 finals MVPs are mirrored in every category by literally all legacy standards.
In 2025 discussions, Shaq doubled down, explicitly stating that only Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Michael Jordan belong in the GOAT debate, leaving Durant conspicuously absent despite his individual brilliance. When you hear Shaq explain his reasoning, when you understand that his criteria extends beyond stats into leadership and self-made success, Durant's exclusion makes perfect sense.
Assists make other players better now.
I'm going to say one thing to you. And Max, I don't know the numbers like you do. Michael Jordan is what in the finals? 6 and what?
Oh.
And what is LeBron in the finals? That's all I got to say.
Shaq, how many?
That exchange on First Take perfectly captures Shaq's no-nonsense approach to the GOAT debate. While analysts debate advanced metrics until they're exhausted, Shaq cuts through the noise with one simple question. What did you accomplish when it mattered most? Jordan went 6-0 in the finals. LeBron went 4-6. Durant went 2-1, but with a massive asterisk attached to both victories. Some argue Shaq is being unfair to Durant, that context should matter when evaluating championship runs. After all, LeBron faced those Durant Warriors teams multiple times, and Durant's decision to join Golden State potentially cost LeBron additional championships. But that's precisely Shaq's point. Durant made that choice. Durant decided winning was more important than building. Durant chose the path of least resistance. And in Shaq's book, that disqualifies him from basketball immortality. Even Durant himself has occasionally dismissed direct comparisons between himself, Jordan, and LeBron, praising both as unique talents who occupy different areas of greatness. Perhaps Durant understands that his championship path will forever be viewed differently. Perhaps he's made peace with the fact that his legacy, while impressive, will always carry the weight of that 2016 decision. Meanwhile, Shaq has even expanded the GOAT conversation to include Stephen Curry, the very player Durant joined in 2025, stating that Curry deserves to be in the GOAT conversation with MJ, LeBron, and Kobe because of his transformative impact on the game. The irony isn't lost on anyone. Shaq is willing to include Curry, the player Durant joined to help, while excluding Durant himself because of how he joined Curry. It's a brutal assessment, but it's consistent. Shaq values authenticity in championship pursuits. He values players who scratched and clawed their way to the top, who overcame obstacles rather than joining forces with the obstacle itself. By that measure, Kevin Durant doesn't make the cut. Perhaps the most compelling evidence supporting Shaq's position doesn't come from Shaq himself, it comes from the man most often positioned as Jordan's primary challenger. If you truly want to understand why the debate continues to tilt in Jordan's favor, look no further than LeBron James himself.
I think I fell in love with the game because of Mike. I did pretty much everything that MJ did when I was a kid. I shot fadeaways before I should have. I wore a leg sleeve on my leg and folded it down so you saw the red part. I wore black and red shoes with white socks. But I did everything Mike did, man. I wanted to be Mike.
LeBron laid bare his complete idolization of Michael Jordan during his formative years. He didn't just watch Jordan. He didn't just admire Jordan. He copied everything Jordan did, down to the smallest details. This wasn't a rival preparing to dethrone a champion. This was a disciple worshiping at the altar of his basketball messiah. So where does all of this leave us? With Shaq's fear factor argument resonating louder than any statistical comparison, with Durant's championships forever marked by his decision to join a 73-win team, with LeBron himself acknowledging in his own words that Michael Jordan was the GOAT he wanted to emulate. The debate will continue, as all great sports debates do. New generations will advocate for their heroes. Statistics will be cherry-picked to support various arguments, but when a Hall of Famer like Shaquille O'Neal, someone who lived through the Jordan era, who battled against him on the court, who learned from him as a mentor, declares that Michael Jordan will always be the greatest, it carries a weight that no amount of advanced analytics can counterbalance. What makes Shaq's position even more compelling is his remarkable humility. Here was a man who won 3 consecutive Finals MVP awards, tying him with Michael Jordan for the longest such streak in NBA history, a player who led the league in field goal percentage 10 times, a feat of dominance that speaks to his unparalleled efficiency in the paint. An athlete so physically overwhelming that opposing teams literally invented the hack-a-Shaq strategy specifically to neutralize his impact. And yet Shaq has never seriously campaigned for his own inclusion at the very top of the GOAT pyramid. Some theorize on social media that Shaq's perceived laziness during portions of his career prevented him from reaching the absolute pinnacle. Perhaps there's truth to that. But Shaq's willingness to exclude himself from the Jordan-LeBron tier while simultaneously excluding Kevin Durant speaks volumes about his criteria for greatness. It's not about raw talent. Durant possesses as much pure scoring ability as anyone who has ever played. It's not about physical dominance. Shaq himself was perhaps the most physically dominant force in basketball history. It's about something deeper, something more fundamental to what it means to be the greatest. It's about building something from the ground up. It's about being the unquestioned leader of a championship organization. It's about driving the bus. The generational divide in this debate is undeniable. Younger fans who grew up watching LeBron dominate naturally gravitate toward him as their GOAT. Those who witnessed Durant's silky smooth scoring stroke and unprecedented versatility argue for his inclusion, but those who lived through the Jordan era, who felt the collective intake of breath whenever number 23 rose for a game-winning shot, understand something that statistics can never fully capture. They understand fear. They understand what it meant to face a competitor so ruthlessly determined that he would rather destroy you psychologically than merely defeat you on the scoreboard. They understand why even LeBron himself acknowledged in 2013 that his biggest obstacle was his fear of failure. Contrasting himself with Jordan, MJ wasn't perfect, but I think the greatest thing about MJ was that he was never afraid to fail. That admission from LeBron might be the most telling statement in this entire debate. The man positioned as Jordan's greatest challenger, the player with the statistics and longevity to make a legitimate case for supremacy, openly acknowledging that Jordan possessed a psychological edge he himself lacked. Shaq sees it, LeBron admits it, and perhaps it's time for the rest of us to acknowledge it as well. The GOAT debate makes for entertaining television and engaging social media discourse, but when the people who actually competed at the highest level weigh in, their verdict is remarkably consistent. Michael Jordan stands alone.